Sup? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 100, and I'm Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you're watching, you are already there. Please subscribe on YouTube, give the episode likes, shares. I appreciate all that for sure. Same on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Subscribing is definitely appreciated on that front too. I am at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me. People We Love Podcast is my other podcast. It's at People We Love Podcast on Instagram. Please check that out. TheEditedMovie.com is where my film that I wrote and directed lives. It's a dystopian psychological satire. Please check that out. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's only 10 minutes long. TheEditedMovie.com. But I want to get into today's episode soon because I'm super excited that today's guest is Tedeschi Trucks Band's own and original member, saxophonist Kebbi Williams. And I appreciate him coming on to help me celebrate episode number 100. It really does mean a lot to me. I will keep saying that over and over again for sure. This is pretty much straight from his Music in the Park atl.org website, his bio here. Kebbi is considered to be one of today's leading improvisers on tenor saxophone, the Grammy Award-winning multi-instrumentalist, composer, producer, arranger, teacher, and innovator, defies categorization and experiments with all music genres. He's worked with Janelle Monáe, Lionel Richie, John Legend, Outkast, and so many more just heavy hitters in the music industry, certainly. He formed and founded his Music in the Park Atlanta in 2010 with the purpose to provide live music and diverse cultural experiences for residents in his community who had limited access to arts and cultural programming. The mission of Music in the Park is to enlighten young performers and inspire vibrancy in communities through music and performing arts. During this episode, Kebbi was multitasking as he was behind the wheel driving, but he made it to his destination safely. So we're all good on that front. Everything worked out, and it was a super fun, casual conversation, and I'm so excited to share it with everyone. So let's just get started with episode number 100. Here's Kebbi Williams. Okay, so it's good to see you today, Kebbi Williams. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it means a lot. This means a lot to me for sure. You're my first current member of TTB to be on the podcast. I spoke to Tim and I spoke to Carrie Frank, who's of course filled in, but you are the first current member. So that really does mean a lot to me for sure.
Nice.
Obviously, for the viewers, we can see that you're driving. Where are we headed?
I am. My son, I'm congratulating my son. He just finished a great basketball game. They played really great, and I'm taking him out to some congratulations lunch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
They won?
They didn't win, but they played great.
How did he do?
He did great. He was I think he's the tallest one on his team, so he got some blocks and took some good shots. It was a good showing.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. And how are you holding up during whatever year this is?
Oh man, I'm holding up really good. Like, we traveled a lot during 2022, making up for all the lost time. So and it was great. It was all great. And so we had a break, over the holidays, and I really enjoyed that, just being with the family and helped my mom out a lot while I was home this time. And took some trips with the kids, and it was fun.
Very cool. And we're recording this on Saturday, the 14th of January. So you guys are hitting the road next weekend. So you gotta head out. When do you head out to meet the rest of the band?
We're gonna start rehearsing on Tuesday.
Soon. The party's over. Vacation's over.
Yeah, man. The party's over. Then the party just begins.
You looking forward to it though?
Yeah, totally. It was a good break, good healing break. So now we can get back to some action.
Yeah, very, very exciting.
And I like it's the new album and it's 4 of them. So many songs that we're getting into and growing into, and it's starting to be fun. And Isaac is getting into his groove, and it's getting I don't know what the word is. It's simmering. It's getting, you know, like how a soup tastes better the second day. Like it's like that.
I feel like, I mean, I almost feel like I want to just jump right into TTB stuff, but I do want to talk a little bit about your background if we have time for that too. But I feel like the band is kind of entering like a golden age of TTB. Like the lineup, at least from afar, for me and for some fans, it feels like this is like a set. You guys aren't really in any sort of transition. You guys are kind of like in your groove, and like, do you feel the same way?
Man, I think it's a really nice thing going on right now. I mean, it's hard to explain, but you can feel it. You can feel it. We're all having a good time. We're all enjoying it, and it's something else happening. You know, it's different. You know what I mean? Because it's been different personnel and different people bring different things to the table. So this group that we have together now is like, it's a lock, and it's a lock that everybody has. It's real comfortable, and I'm enjoying and looking forward to seeing, you know, where we go, because it's still kind of new too. You know, like Isaac, like, you know, like last year was his first full year like touring with us. Maybe not even a full year, maybe from the summer or something. I'm not sure how long Isaac has actually been there, but you know, it's fresh for him, and so we're just getting into it.
No, that's very cool. That's what it seems like for fans from afar. We feel that, the hardcore fans, and there are many of them, many of us out there for sure. I want to hear a little bit about your family and your background, then we'll jump back into TTB soon enough. But tell me about, like, you know, a little bit about your background, your family, because I know music was a big part of your life, and you got family in the business and whatnot.
Oh yeah. My father was a musician. He played the sax, and actually the sax that I play is his sax that I got from him. He passed in February.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Sorry to hear that. I did see that.
Yeah, thanks, man. But yeah, I got my sax from him. He taught me how to play, and it was just a hobby at first. I mean, it was just something to do. I was in school, and I think it started in the 4th grade, and I was like 6th chair. I didn't really take it serious. And then I went to a music camp in the 8th grade because I just didn't have anything to do that year. And so that was the camp that was available. And I always loved it. I remember in the 7th grade playing the music, some of my parts that were like a middle part, not even like the melody line, like just some middle random school band 6th chair saxophone part that I just loved, and I would just take it home and repeat my part over and over and over again. I wasn't really improvising. I just loved playing that part. And so then, like 8th grade, I went to this music camp, and I played all summer long, and no other kid practiced over the summer, and they didn't even bring their instruments home over the summer. So by the 9th grade, I was 1st chair just from practice, you know, just from practicing for 2 months, 3 months. And then I like felt a sense of belonging, and I wanted to like impress the band director and do more music. And my dad was a musician, so I started asking him questions like, "Hey, can you teach me the scales?" Because in school band, you know, you don't have to learn all your scales. You just learn that music, whatever the band director tells you to learn, and you know, whatever the warm-up skills are. You don't have to do any extra. And so then, you know, when I was 1st chair, I started to be interested in extra stuff, and I decided to start a jazz group to impress my band director in like 10th grade. And the first time I tried to take a solo, I just could. It was just good. I was like, "Woo, that was great." And then another sax player played keyboard, and the tuba player played bass, and I think another tuba player played the drum set. And I took a solo. I think I was playing like some Kenny G stuff or something like super easy, and it was just good. And so we played at the homecoming at 10th grade in high school homecoming. And I took a solo, and the crowd went wild. Woo! And I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Because before that, like, my dad was like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, you know, engineer, business, you know. And he was a musician. He was like, do it as a hobby. Don't do this for real, because it's tough. And once I heard that crowd scream, I was like, I think I'm going to do music.
Very cool. Yeah, I have that. It's funny because I have that like all in my notes, and that's kind of what I wanted to bring up and ask about the homecoming thing and all that. Obviously, all the other students were impressed, but was your dad and other family at that homecoming too?
No, nobody was there. It was my best friend Greg, who's still my best friend. He co-founder of the nonprofit Music in the Park. He was there, but yeah, I didn't tell anybody. I was just kind of doing it in the garage. Like I just wanted to impress the band director, so we just kind of went to my buddy's house and practiced in his garage. The one song, maybe two. I think it was one song, and I took a solo on it, and I just could. As soon as I started doing the solo, I could, and I guess, and then we just went to homecoming. I think I told my mom like, yeah, I'm gonna play, but I didn't even know what was gonna happen, and so it was just, yeah. Then the next thing you know, boom, I'm a musician.
I heard that's very cool. I heard this interview with you, and you mentioned I think some other classmate. I don't know if this was high school or college. I just wrote down the name Stephen Holt was good, but then I
Yeah,
think you
that was
heard
the first
was
guy.
that was high school or college?
That was when I first started playing sax. I was on the drums first. I was playing snare drum, so that's how I first started any music at all. I started on drums, and it was like 100 drummers playing in the back, playing snare, and we were playing and throwing spitballs and being rambunctious kids. It's fourth grade. We couldn't be still talking, and band directors used to fuss at us all the time. Y'all drummers back there being so bad. Y'all need to be more like Stephen Holt. Stephen Holt was a sax player. And he was also the keyboard player in that first band too in the 10th grade. But Stephen Holt was a sax player, and I said, my dad plays sax. I'm gonna go home and ask my dad if he got a sax, and he did. He had another sax, and so but it was an alto sax, and Stephen played tenor sax. So when I got to the school the next day with my sax, it was all girls playing alto sax. I was like, wait a minute, I wasn't even with Stephen Holt. But and I was mad because back then it was like, you know, I was at that stage. I didn't like girls. I was like, oh man, I want to be with Stephen Holt. And but I stayed with it, and I was sixth chair, and but it was fine, man. And then fast forward to the 10th grade, Stephen Holt, the other sax player, also played keys at church, and so we learned the one song, and that was it. And so then,
Gotcha.
from then, I was like, all right, all music, like practicing and taking it serious. And I graduated to like Miles Davis and Coltrane, but I didn't know any jazz, but I was just listening to more stuff, after that. And yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, and then you went to college and continued your studies and had challenges there and whatnot too, new
Oh yeah,
challenges.
Howard was great for me because I was still like first of all, I went to a math and science high school. So, a little solo at the homecoming made me a sensation. So I was like a big fish at a math school, not a fine art school, not a music school, as a math science school where everybody was taking music as a hobby and not practicing over the summer and stuff like that. So I was a big time in my little high school. And when I went to college, there were serious players there, like who went to fine arts high schools and were playing like professionally and real deal people playing jazz, straight ahead jazz. I ain't even know anything about any of that. Charlie Parker, Coltrane, serious jazz. And the upperclassmen persecuted me, man. I went to this jam session one time and tried to play with the older upperclassmen, and I was a freshman. Didn't know what I was doing. Didn't know anything. And I was just foolish, brave and foolish. And I tried to get up there and play with those upperclassmen, and they just shot me down. Stop playing in front of everybody, because it was a jam session that everyone would go to because it was the upperclassmen kicking butt, killing, sounding great. So all the freshmen would go to it, and everybody would go listen to them play. And I decided as a young freshman that I'm just going to get up and go play with these guys. And then then that happened. They shot me down, told me to stop playing, man. I was left, and I shed a tear, and I vowed I was going to get them back. And I practiced every day. I started practicing like 6 hours a day. and I really improved real fast at that rate because I was like Rocky, like going for it. And yeah, and so
Very
after
cool.
that, fast forward to my senior year, like I won a downbeat award, and I got them, you know. I mean, I got those upperclassmen back. You know, now I love them, man. I don't even feel that like revenge pain that I used to, man. It's all good now. But at that, when I was a freshman, I wanted revenge, man, and I was practicing my butt off to get them back, and I did.
It's funny to hear you bring up Rocky, because I was picturing you're envisioning your story, and it just seemed like a movie or movie scenes. I'm like, in Kebbi's biopic, in his movie, this is going to be a big scene where he gets shot down by the seniors and has to come back and prove himself and all that. It doesn't sound like you like would even like regret like trying to play with the seniors. Is it good in the sense that it gave you a real sense of where you stood, I guess, skill wise or something like that? Was it worth it to kind of put yourself out there?
It did. It was an eye opener, man. You know, like I've always been a spiritual dude, and I think what I was thinking was, I just, you know, I'm just gonna close my eyes and open my heart and play the best that I can and play with all my heart and soul, and I'll make it. You know, just that's all that counts is heart and soul and spirit and in good intentions, and I'll be fine. And then so I got up there and they were like, "Nah, buddy, get out of here," and shot my heart and soul down, man. And
Oh,
so yeah, but it was an eye opener. Like, okay, yeah,
gotcha.
I'm actually not on the level. Like, I'm not ready for these guys. I'm not ready to be on this stage. I
Yeah,
gotta learn some things.
you face reality, I guess, in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you an impossible question. Because I want to talk about your professional career pre-TTB. So I'm kind of gonna give you the floor to maybe talk about some highlights and a little bit of a summary, if you can, of your journey. Because I know you've played with, top-notch musicians in the music industry. So definitely want to hear a little bit about that, and some of the personal highlights from you, because I know you've worked with Janelle Monáe and Lionel Richie and John Legend, and just want to hear about your ascent as a pro.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many people, man. I might even forget, man. I forgot I played with John Legend, but I did, yeah. And Lionel Richie, and my uncle was in the Commodore, so that was a good reunion. He died, you know, a while back, probably 15 years ago now. But when I did play with Lionel, that was fun. It was just all studio stuff. So let me just start from the beginning. I guess when I came back from Howard, when I graduated Howard, I went to New York and tried to cut my teeth with the jazz cats, and it was great, but I was starving, man. It was so hard to just eat up there in New York, man. It was tough, man. So my mom got breast cancer and beat it, and was having a party back in Atlanta for beating breast cancer, and I came home for the party and ate food, and I said, "Oh, food!" And so I stayed in Atlanta for like a little bit, just like eating and recovering from that, because I was in New York, poor. I mean, serious starving artist for real, hungry. And I ate food at mom's house for her party. So I stayed a little while, and then like I started hanging with like Lil John Roberts. It was actually a scene in Atlanta. O'Teal was down there, Kofi Burbage was down there. There was people down there. So I stayed, and I actually wound up just staying. And so first, when I was graduated, I left New York, came back to Atlanta, started playing. Kofi used to play with my dad when I was a kid in high school, and he remembered me from when I really wasn't like serious, like before I even went to college and knew any jazz and knew anything. Um, and he saw me playing and was like, "Oh man, and I knew him too. He used to play with my dad, and so O'Teal was doing his first record, and he was like, "Man, O'Teal wants a sax player on his record." So I took a solo on O'Teal's record, man, and it was great, and everybody loved it, and it was awesome, and that was probably the first thing I did that was kind of big. And I didn't really know how famous O'Teal was at the time. I loved him. I heard him play the bass. I didn't know he was famous. I just knew, man, this dude is the man. He is amazing. I didn't realize he was like Allman Brothers and all of the things he had done, ARU and all the things he had done. So, but that was it though. So O'Toole was going on tour, and he wasn't going to take the horns. He was just going with him and keys, guitar, and drums. But he needed a driver, and I was like, bro, I will drive y'all just so I can go with y'all. So that was my first tour. I drove the van with O'Toole when he did his first record. And that's when I met everybody, Derek and Sue and all kinds of everybody on the scene at that time. Like one of my first tour, I met everybody. And so then, I started.
What year was that?
98. Maybe 98.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 98. And, and O'Toole was on the road with the Allman Brothers, so that was just kind of like here and there. So then I started playing with Russell Gunn because he remembered me from New York when I lived in New York. I started playing with Russell Gunn, jazz trumpeter, and did a lot of Europe, and that's when I met like everybody on the jazz scene. But I have to mention that Chris Dave, one of my main friends from Howard, from college, a couple of my friends from Howard, and he was an upperclassman at that time when I got persecuted, but he was already on the road. He wasn't in the room that day. He was already touring and stuff. And Chris Dave is one of the greatest drummers of all time, like right now, living drummers, like jazz. He plays like Robert Glasper, and he's like the source of the rhythm for the whole Glasper thing. And, playing with him was great. We started the band, the Drumheads, and that's been one of my big highlights. Is like playing with him has been great because he's like super drummer. So that was fun. I was playing with Russell Gunn. And then I played with Outkast, just being from Atlanta. Like, I knew Andre before he was a rapper, Andre 3000, from the neighborhood. His cousin lived in my neighborhood, and he used to come over on holidays and play basketball, and we used to just hang out. So when he became a rapper, it was like, I was just in the scene in Atlanta, and this horn section called Horns Unlimited. Their sax player couldn't do the session, the Outkast session. They called me. So I started playing with Outkast and recording with them. And that horn section was like the pop section. That's where I got to play with Janelle Monáe, and we were playing with everybody, that horn section. Lionel Richie, John Legend, PJ Morton, who else? Lots of people. That Horns Unlimited, we did a lot. And so, yeah, and then I had kids. Well, then I moved to London for a while, actually, and that's where I met, like, Shabaka Hutchison and Tom Skinner, Soweto Kenshin, a lot of that London scene, which is amazing right now. Julie Dexter is from London, and she moved to Atlanta, and I was playing with her, and we went to London for a trip, and I just stayed over there for almost a year and was playing with all them cats. Shabaka was, like, in high school at that time, and that was a highlight, just being over there. And I almost didn't come back. I wasn't going to move back to America. I almost had a record deal over there, and I wasn't going to move back to America. Then Outkast won the Grammys. I was gone. I was like, shoot, I ain't coming back. Because, that happens a lot. Jazz musicians go to Europe and do well in Europe, and now I was one of them. And but then Outkast won the Grammys. Earth, Wind & Fire was on it. And George Clinton and P-Funk was on it. It was like a tribute to funk. And they were like, I don't care where you are in the world, you coming back to do this. And I was like, and I didn't have a Grammy at that time. That was one of the first Grammys. Even though I'll say that Tedeschi Trucks is like the first Grammy that I got in my hand. Like, I played on other Grammy records, but like I didn't actually get the physical Grammy because I was like a part of the project. But like I'm in the Tedeschi Trucks Band, so I actually got the Grammy, so that was amazing. But Outkast brought me back to America, and and then I had some kids, and I had my son first, Red Hawk, and then I tried to move to Amsterdam because I missed Europe. It was that same deal with the jazz musician vibe. Like I was like, man, I was so appreciated. They appreciate art so much. So I'm like, I'm going back to Europe, and I took my son to Amsterdam. We stayed for a little bit, but Amsterdam wasn't as musical. Amsterdam was very visual. Like Van Gogh was there, Rembrandt was there. They're a very visual place, very artsy and very artistic. And they have music, but like London was like music. So, but I wound up coming back from Amsterdam too, and then I was here, and then I reunited with John Rico Scott had a band. So when John Rico Scott was off the road with with DTB, Tedeschi Trucks Band, he had his own band. So I started playing with John Rico, and Kofi was playing, and I was doing that, and that's how I re-saw Derek and Sue again. And then O'Teal had moved to Alabama at that time, but then he moved to Atlanta. And when O'Teal moved to Atlanta, it was right before TTB. It was like 2008 or 9 or something. 2010 was when they started TTB, but there were no horns. And O'Teal was like, "Yo, get Kebbi." And I think Derek, and you hear Derek and Sue tell it, they were like saying the same thing. Yeah, get Kebbi. So and I got with TTB, and I've been with TTB since 2010.
It sounds like it sounds like a dream almost. Like, other than the starving in New York stuff, it sounds like, you know, you were living the dream and doing what you love. Is that what you felt like, just being on cloud nine, being able to do what you love? Not that it's not without challenges and travel and drama and ups and downs, but it seems like you're doing what you love, been able to.
Oh man, it's been great, man. It's been great. I've been hungry, like I said, in New York. I was hungry. Shoot, I was hungry in Europe when I first went to London, and the band left and went back to America, and I was on my own in London. I was hungry there, and same in Amsterdam. But I went over there. I was on a theater project, and I said, I'm staying, just like London. And the theater left, and I was hungry in Amsterdam. And you know, so there's been ups and downs and trials and tribulations, but musically and artistically, it has been an amazing ride. You know, and now I have a nonprofit, and I have a gallery in Atlanta, and we're just doing good for the community. My nonprofit has just been amazing. Like, you know, when I got with TTB and we started doing well and doing lots of shows, I took some money and we started the nonprofit and started to do community stuff, and that's just been amazing, man. Just helping the kids and playing for the community. And we had homeless people come up to us crying like, I never heard no music like this, because we play in the neighborhood I'm in. You could say that it's gentrified now, but like 11 years ago, it was kind of tough. And they didn't have like music like we were bringing in. We were bringing like symphonic jazz and funk, and we had kids playing stuff out there on the basketball courts where the thugs were, you know, and that was a part of the strategy for the young thugs to see the young kids playing violins and instruments and stuff. And, you know, we had homeless people, never heard nothing like that, crying. And it was just amazing, you know, because we just did it where we would do it at. And we had O'Teal and Kofi playing with us, Chris Dave playing with us, Miguel Atwood Ferguson, you know, orchestrating for the kids, and D'Anthony Parks on drums. And, I mean, we had Nicholas Payton, all kinds of heroes have come down and played with our kids and for our communities. And we're still doing it, and it's just great. The nonprofit has just been great, and I opened up a gallery, so now we do stuff, you know, year long.
Very cool. No, that's great work. Music in the Park, ATL.org.
Yeah, that's it. That's been amazing. It's just been amazing. So I have had a great ride, and it's just getting better. And, you know, and at first it was an artist ride, like I want to be the best saxophonist ever type vibe. But now I'm older, and it's like support the community and feed the children. You know, keep art alive, keep music that's not in schools no more. Like kids ain't playing instruments, and keep that alive, and feed the communities that don't get high art. You know, like certain communities always get high art. Let's feed some high art to these communities that never get it. You know, so it's just been amazing.
Yeah, it seems like your values, not that your values or you don't value artistic expression, but also legacy and impact have become more and more a part of your life, it sounds like, over the years. And that makes sense, and that's great.
Absolutely.
Tell me about when you first joined TTB. How was it kind of like pitched to you? What did they say the band was going to be? What was like the vision for TTB like in the early days? You know, what were you getting yourself into?
Well, let me tell you, man, Derek is like family. O'Teal had mentioned me, and then I think Derek and Sue both, like when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna get on horn," mentioned me. So Derek was the one that called me and was like, "Yeah, we're doing a recording." in December. We want some horns on it, but it wasn't join the band. At that point, it wasn't be a part of this band we're doing. It was just like recording. We got this new thing and we're recording. We want some horns. We want you on it. And so it was just a recording vibe at first. Then we got down there, you know, and then and it was like, shoot, we want y'all on some shows. And we did some shows, and then like something was booked already, like Japan. They went somewhere else without us, so we did a couple with them, and then we did a couple without them. And they were like, "Oh man, we missed the horns," and so we've been with them ever since.
And so it's very organic.
Totally organic, totally organic. And you know, like I knew Derek, like we knew each other too. Like it wasn't like audition for the Tedeschi Trucks Band. It was more family like than that, you know. And I was connected to Kofi and Otil already. They were in the band, so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, you know, America's Got Talent and a panel of judges type of, you know. It was more organic than that. Now I don't know, like, you know, Isaac and Brandon, and I think Brandon might have had an audition, and I don't know, you know, like I think some of these guys may have. But for me, in the beginning, when the first band, when it first started, it was very family, like, or organic kind of vibe.
What did you think of when you guys first started playing together, doing shows, the official formation of the band, Revelator starting to be put together? Were you excited? I'm sure you were excited about the project. But what were you kind of like feeling at that time once you guys started to get rolling?
Well, man, it was all very exciting, extremely exciting, and it was very good. It was like so powerful, and we were like, "Yo, this is strong stuff." We all felt it. We were like, "This is some of the strongest stuff out," you know. And I mean, we felt like we were the best band in the land, you know. And it was killing. Everybody was killing. You know, Otil, Kofi, everybody up there was killing. Maurice, me, JJ, Falcon, Derek too, everybody. Super strong. Mike, Mark, it was very, very strong. And we knew it. I mean, I kind of knew we were going to win the Grammy. I don't know, people seemed shocked, like, when they were like, "We got nominated for a Grammy." I was like, I wasn't shocked at all. So we were all excited. There was a buzz, and it was good. And we had a great time, and it was awesome.
That's very cool.
Revelator is still a classic, you know, and Revelator was great.
What about other highlights from either Revelator or from even Made Up Mind? Like any songs jump out at you, or parts of recording those albums or touring for them kind of stand out for you?
I miss some of those Revelator songs that we used to play all the time, like "Love Is Getting Something." There's some Revelator songs that I'm like, man, we got to bring those back. But we've done so many songs and albums. There's like so much to choose from that I guess we don't think about it all the time. You know, out of sight, out of mind. But yeah, I really love a lot of those Revelator songs, like "Made Up Mind," "Learn How to Love." Not "Made Up Mind." I mean, I'm sorry. "Love Has Got Something to Say." "Learn How to Love." That was just such good stuff. But "Made Up Mind" was awesome because that's when Otil went to start his family and stuff, and we had Pino Palladino, who was a legend and played with D'Angelo and stuff. He was on the recording. He didn't tour with us because right after that recording, we were like searching for a bass player for almost a year until we found Tim. And but that record was slamming, man. Pino was laying it down on "Made Up Mind," man. It was amazing. And so that record definitely stood out to me as well. And then some of the other moments that stood up after "Made Up Mind, once we found Tim and got Tim in the band, we started going to, during my lows in particular, and Derek too, we started going more out, like more crazy, once Tim got around, and going to like outer space kind of places. And those were really highlights for me too. And then we even started like a side project, just playing out "Whose Hat Is This," which is outness. And we're gonna do some more with "Whose Hat," and that's been a highlight too. And "Whose Hat" is a highlight for me too because it's just so free. There's no songs. It's all moment, and it's all so fun. and it's all as out as possible. And you got to see Falcon and Whose Hat Is This. Falcon comes to life. He's like Colonel Bruce, 3000. I mean, he's like, man, Falcon is so funny and smart and quick, and yeah, you gotta check Falcon out and Whose Hat Is This. That's been a highlight too. And so once Tim got in and Derek, we just started feeling all this outness like on my solos. Like I just love that, and it's still that's still there. And then Boone came, and Boone is my friend. Boone used to play music in the park when he was young. Like when he was a college student, he was in music in the park, and then I started using him with the Wolfpack, my group. We didn't talk about that earlier, but I have a group in Atlanta called Wolfpack that used to terrorize Atlanta. Like we used to get Best of Atlanta and Creative Loafing like every year. We used to terrorize Atlanta. We rode down the highway on a 18-wheeler trailer one time playing, and we used to play on roofs of buildings, and we used to terrorize. Man, we did a lot with the Wolfpack, and we got it. Man, we're legendary. But anyway, so Boone used to play with the Wolfpack before Tedeschi Trucks. So then, when it was time for Boone to come around, Jack was like, "What you think about Boone?" I was like, "I love him, man. Get him." And that's been great to have Boone on the team, man. Boone is such a sweet person and such a killer at the same time, man. So it's been fun, and now that Isaac is there, and they're younger too, man. They're all like young, like Boone's 20-something, And most of the band's medium age is 40, I think, but 40-something. I mean, a couple of 50s. But they're like, Boone's like 20-something, and I think Isaac might just be fresh 30 or fresh over 30. So they bring a young spirit and a young hunger to the picture, man. That's been great.
That's good. It's like a sports team almost in some ways. You need it's good to have like youth to kind of reinvigorate or just like help sustain the inspiration, motivation. Not that you guys need that as veterans of the music industry, but like it helps, I'm sure, to have some of that youthful energy.
It totally does. I mean, I can feel it, the excitement, and they're hungry. They want to do stuff. They want to try stuff, and it's great, man. I've been loving it.
Yeah, you guys have such a huge catalog now. I appreciate it, and it's going to sustain me. Just the new, like I've been listening to so much of the new stuff. Like you almost forget to go back and listen to some of the other earlier stuff. But I make time for all of it for sure. Any other? I mean, I only have a couple more questions for you. But any other highlight?
I have another highlight. I got another huge highlight. So we did this album, which is great, which I love. I'm loving playing the songs and the records. Everything about it. But my buddy from my band, the Wolfpack, uses tubas, and Derek asked if for one of the songs we could get a tuba to fall in, and so he came to the studio and he did that and a couple of other songs. But then we went out and did the live shows, and the first he came out in Jacksonville and Atlanta and played with us on the show.
I saw a couple of them.
Awesome. Man, I love it so much, and I hope we can do that more with him. And that was one of the big highlights for me, just having that tuba standing next to me, playing Tedeschi Trucks music. Woo! That was great.
Why is that? Just the sound, the horns. It's more gives your section more powerful.
More horns, more power. More horns and more power.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate all the stories and hearing about what you're passionate about, specifically musically and all that, and what excites you. It just sounds, I feel like the energy, like, I feel your excitement, look, as far as like getting back out there. It seems like you're ready to go. You're always ready to go.
I really love the new tunes. You know what another highlight is? I'm sorry, because they're all coming to me. On the second album, there's a horn section. There's a horn part where Derek just let us go, man. We were just going. We did the first part of the song, and there's a long outro, and we just played, man, and Derek let us go, man, and Ephraim and me and Elizabeth, man, we just improvised this masterpiece. And I believe in that. I'm an improviser. I believe in improvisation. And I'm blessed to be in a band with Derek, who likes, also is a master and loves improvisation. And so, and I believe in improvisation. Like, I believe you can make Mozart masterpieces from improv if everybody's in tune. And I feel like we did that, man, on that second album. What's the name of the song? There's so many names, so many songs.
I'll pull it up. It'll come back.
Oh my goodness, so many songs.
Not Idle Wind.
No. The newest record we did. Not
the second of the I Am the Moon. Oh, you're not talking about was it all the love?
Yeah, all the love. Oh my goodness, that was a highlight.
I love that.
One of my favorites. I mean, I got so many favorites on the new series. But
you sound like a fan now.
Oh man, I am a fan.
Do you listen to TTB while you're driving around ever?
Dude, I listen to All the Love. Oh well, I listen to that whole album over and over again. But yeah, because we had it before it came out. So man, I had it on repeat.
That's true. You're listening to it for quality control, I guess, at various points.
Totally.
Very cool. I feel like I've taken up enough of your time. I know you're about to go eat and join some family. It means a lot to me. Why sunglasses all the time? Is it a fashion thing? Is it an eyesight thing? Is it a don't come up to me and bother me thing? Why the sunglasses?
Well, this is multiple facets of reasons. Well, firstly, a lot of jazz cats used to wear glasses, but I had a teacher who used to wear. He was a drum teacher at Howard. Always wore shades, and they were like, "Why do you always wear shades? Like, day and night." I never saw his eyes ever, and he was like, "Never let him see you sweat," and I thought that was so cool. Way back then, I remember that. But then, when I got grown and got out of school, started smoking a little good stuff.
Sure.
Your eyes get red, so put the shades on so they will never let them see you sweat. Never let them know, the full extent.
So I've heard. So I've heard.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Good stuff. I appreciate it. Anything you want to plug or promote? TedeschiTrucksBand.com. We got musicinthepark.atl.org. What's your galleries? Is it your gallery through Music in the Park?
It's through Music in the Park. We have an Instagram page. It's just Gallery 992. I think ATL.
Very cool.
That's a facet of musicinthepark.org.
Sweet. Well, go eat. I'm sure you're hungry. Thank you again so much. This really does truly mean a lot to me. And I look forward to seeing you live next year. And looking forward to hopefully fan recordings or something, music. I'm always listening to you guys live, of course.
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
It all.
Hope to see you soon.
Definitely. Take care. Thank you, Kebbi.
All right, bro. Later.
So there you go. Episode 100 with Kebbi Williams. That was so much fun. Again, I'll keep saying it. It just means so much to me. It was cool to hear, a lot of things during the conversation, but just to see Kebbi kind of like say that he was a fan of TTB. I thought that was just kind of fun and cool to hear as a fan. And I really felt like at some points during the conversation, it felt like I'm talking to another fan of Tedeschi Trucks Band, which he is, which is great and great to hear. But I hope everyone is doing okay out there. Please check out @Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube, on whatever you listen to podcasts on. Positive reviews on Apple Podcasts are appreciated. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter. My other podcast is @People We Love Podcast or peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's @People We Love Podcast on Instagram. The editedmovie.com is where my short film is. TedeschiTrucksBand.com for all things related to Tedeschi Trucks Band. That's their official site, TedeschiTrucksBand.com. Buy the merch, buy all the 2023 tickets that are up for sale right now, that are on sale right now. Join the Swamp family. Just support the band because, as Kebbi was mentioning right away, he knew that they were the best band in the land. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate Kebbi. I appreciate the band. It's been fun, and I'm proud to get to episode 100, and I'm looking forward to continuing and to keep on going, and looking forward to more music this year. Take care, guys. Later.